a month after high school, I was at the U.S. Naval Academy getting screamed at in boot camp, and I was obligating myself for about 9 years of service from that point. And so from a month after high school to about 9 years later, I was in the U.S. Navy. And as soon as that was over, that's where my story begins here. So I was just out, and I was dying for some freedom and just some adventure. And I talked to my friend Tim, and he and I, he had the summer free, and he was one of my friends from the Navy. He said, let's go to Europe, and we'll just travel around, do whatever you want to do, have a great time. I said, sure, let's do that. So one of the things we talked about doing possibly was going to the bullfights in Spain. And so we said, yeah, let's go to the bullfights in Spain. And then he explained to me he's been before, and then we take the bus from Madrid. We're taking the bus, and it's the start of the season. You go to Pamplona, and that's the kickoff of the season. And he's explaining to me, that's where they do the running of the bulls in Pamplona, and it's the kickoff of the season. And I said, that sounds fantastic. And so we're taking the bus, and after a while he says, I ran the last time I went. Are you going to run this time? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know, am I? And so I decided, I'm going to get as much, I was going to gather intelligence. I was going to get as much information as I could before I kind of made a decision about whether I was going to run with the bulls. So there's all these people coming to watch the running of the bulls. They come from all over the world. And so I'm just talking to different people in Pamplona and on the bus ride to Pamplona, and just getting as much information as I can about how it all goes down. And I talked to, I don't remember the order, but one person I talked to, he said, don't worry, you have this rolled piece of paper, and it's not that dangerous. If you ever get into danger, what you do, you should take that piece of paper and you hit the bull in the nose, and it stuns the bull, and then you get out of the way. So, okay, good, all right. And then, so I talked to another person, and he said, it's not that dangerous. You have this rolled piece of paper. Yeah. He says, and what you do is you don't hit the bull in the nose. You throw it at its eyes, and it blinks, and then you're supposed to get out of the way. Right? And I'm like, okay. And so I talked to some more people, and I talked to another guy, and he says, "What? They told you that? What? The piece of the rolled paper, it's like rolled newspaper. It's ceremonial. That's not good for anything. You just get out of the way, right?" And I'm like, okay, thoroughly confused at this point, and I'm kind of on the fence and trying to decide whether I'm going to do this, and I'm not I can't get a straight story from anyone, or at least a matching one. But the one thing they all have in common is they say, it's really not that dangerous. The only time the bulls get dangerous is when one of them gets turned around, because one gets turned around and then you have this pack of bulls coming at them and they get really disoriented, and that's when they get violent and dangerous. Otherwise, they're just going to run all the way to the stadium and you're just going to run alongside them. I said, okay, so I can do this. So I get my courage up. I'm about 500 times more nervous than I am right now. And I decide to run, and I got the route down. There's kind of bends. It goes through the streets of Pamplona, and there's these kind of bends in the streets, the pathway that the bulls take. And so we start off, at the first bend, and I think there's like a gun that sounds or something that signals the beginning, and you go down this one stretch, and then it takes like a perpendicular, another stretch, and there's another stretch at the end. And I don't know exactly how long it is, but it's not like 100 yards. It's like a quarter of a mile or a half a mile or something like that. And so, we start running, and nothing's happening, and we're all just kind of standing there going, oh, this is, kind of a letdown. And then we all start running a little bit, and then all of a sudden you see this, the first wave of bulls coming down. And it's just it's terrifying, right? They're barreling down, and there's lots of them. I don't know how many, maybe 8 or 10 or something, but it's not just one or two. And so they're coming down and sprinting at top speed, And if you've ever seen footage on the news or something, when they always show like a little clip every year when it happens on some, CNN or something, and they always show these people running with a paper and they're like whacking the bulls and running and looking back. And I don't know who took that footage, but it is a completely inaccurate description of what happens. Because I was pretty fast back in those days, and I mean I was running as fast as I possibly could, and I don't know. Even if you're Usain Bolt or whatever, I mean, those things are as fast as horses, and they just pass by you like you're standing still, no matter how hard you're running. So I just watched, futilely. I mean, it's just like I just watch them sprint by me like I'm standing still, and I'm like, oh my God! And so, I'm trying to stay off to the side, and another wave of big wave of bulls comes, and it all starts kind of winding down, and it's like, oh, that was really scary. And then there's a couple like straggler packs, like maybe 3 or 4, but you don't feel that afraid of that, so you're just trying to jog along. And I see this one pack, kind of one of the last packs of like 3 or 4 pass me, and I'm watching, and I see this one bull trip and trample this guy, like land on all fours, and get up and get turned around. And that bull, the look on that bull's face is, I'm pissed. I do not like this, and I'm gonna make you not like it. And so I've never seen like maybe about 15, it was probably about 15 guys or something between me and that bull, and I've never seen 15 grown men so petrified in their lives. But we are frozen. I mean, like, it's like a standoff or something, but we're just sitting there frozen, and the bull's staring at us, and we're staring at him like we're out in the wild or something, and everyone's trying to decide what to do, and nobody wants to run because then you're going to draw attention to yourself, and that bull's going to come after you. So then the bull decides for us all what it's going to do, and it starts coming right at us, And so it comes, and we all get up against the wall as fast as we can. And if you've ever seen the streets in Europe, if you've ever watched a Jason Bourne movie, you've seen like the streets in Europe. There's no sidewalk, and there's no shoulder. It's like just cobblestone right up to the front of the building, and then it goes straight up. And there's no place to go. There's no alleys, and it's about. I'm on like the longest stretch. You can't go forward, you can't go back. And so we all press up against the wall, and that bull comes, and there's about 6 or 7 people to my left, and that bull starts, and it picks one off. The first guy, and we're all pressed up against the wall. Nobody wants to run again, because that bull is going to come after the first person that gets the attention drawn to it. So it picks off the next, and they're going down like dominoes, and the bulls like kind of get the horns between the person and the wall and flip them off into the street, or they get underneath and then toss them over their back. And I'm watching this guy fall down, and then after that happens, they sprint for their lives, and it's just one by one it comes, and I watch it get the guy right next to me. It gets this guy, and it kind of pushes him into the street. He kind of falls down and then runs off. And I'm sitting there, and I'm pressing into the wall as hard as I possibly can. I'm just like sucking in my gut, frozen. Like I'm like be like paper, I'm like just trying to get as flat as I can to that wall. And I get as flat as I can, and I'm pressing as hard as I can. And the wall gives way behind me. I fall through. As I'm falling, I watch the horns pass, like in slow motion, right here in front of my gut. Like it's just right there. Like first I was here, and the horns were here, and then I'm like falling, and I watch the bull in slow motion go by me, and I kind of catch myself and hear this shrieking to my left, and then I watch a door slam right in front of me. So I had no idea that I was pressed up against a door as hard as I possibly could be. And the shrieking was from these 2 girls. And they opened the door, there was no holes in the door, no peephole, no like nail slot. They just opened to see what was happening. And I fell through, and they slammed the door, and they shrieked into my ear. And I was like, it was kind of like one of those, and I was like, ah. And so now I'm all of a sudden inside this house I've never been in before, and I'm like out of danger. So we're sitting there kind of like, it's kind of awkward, you know, like, so where are you from? You know, we're just, I mean, it was just the most bizarre thing, you know, whatever. So I think, I can't remember, I think they were about 20 years old or something, they were Americans, and, you know, it was just, so I don't want to say they saved my life or anything, but it was just, you know, that split second. And they had no idea because they just were opening the door to see what was going on. And so we wait about 5 minutes and they're like, okay, well, let's just see what's going on out there. And we open the door again, and there's more bulls turned around. We see their heads turned towards the door as we open the door, and we slam the door again. And then we wait about 10 more minutes till we're sure everybody's gone. And then I come back and run out. You know, we take a peek out, no bulls, so I come back out and run. And I run all the way to the stadium. You know, I'm feeling like alive and elated. And I'm just running all the way to the stadium where they corral the bulls, and then I see this camera crew there, and they're, you know, got a whole camera crew and a reporter and everything. And I said, oh, where are you guys from? You know, what are you doing? They're like, well, we're from ESPN. And they're like, but we're done for the, we're done down here. We've interviewed everybody we're going to interview. But I said, okay, cool. Well, let me tell you what happened to me. So I tell them everything that had happened to me, you know, just kind of what I just told you, the same story. And he gets on his, you know, earpiece mic thing, and he says, we got to cut back down. You know, you got to hear this story. So, you know, he talks to the booth, and they cut back down, and I tell the same story, you know, basically I just told you. And, you know, afterwards I say to him, you know, when is it going to air? You know, I'd love to catch it. You know, he's like, it just aired. You know, I was like, really? How many people? He's like, it was 80,000 people, you know, just watched that live on ESPN2. And I was like, wow. So anyway, that was the whole story, and that was my adventure for the summer of 2001. Thanks.